hello to the members of the Takash Quartet, Edward, Harumi, Andras, and Richard.
Curious if any of you are experiencing any form of performance anxiety, and sort of how do you go about managing this very complex issue?
Absolutely. I get nervous for every concert. I get nervous for rehearsals too, actually. I don't know if that's probably very uncool to say. But for me, it's just a matter of, making sure that it doesn't actually paralyze me, that it doesn't sort of act as a block, but it's just sort of one of the things in the mix, like along with everything else. I pack up my violin, I make sure I have my music, my page turns, all this stuff, and I take all this stuff with me, my pencil, my bag, my strings, my rosin, and also my nerves. It's another thing I bring with me. It's part of my personality, and so I think just sort of like allowing it to be part of the package, and it's also, I think, maybe a little bit part of the way I play the violin too. Like there's a certain kind of energy that I feel. I think the more I embrace the whatever you want to call it, nerves or performance anxiety or excitement or however you want to couch it, as long as I acknowledge that it's part of who I am and it's part of how I play and part of how I speak and all of that, and then somehow it feels more natural. And of course, I mean, having colleagues by your side and of course fantastic music by your side, over time makes me feel much more confident. These are things that I wouldn't necessarily do on my own and feel like, I wouldn't feel amazing doing these things on my own, but with all this, all these wonderful things by my side, I really want to rise to the occasion, and it becomes, again, like an adventure, a really exciting sense of responsibility that I don't want to be anywhere else. This is where I want to be. So,
Richard, do you have any? You never seem to me to be nervous on stage. Are you? Is that different to how you feel?
Oh, I get so spooked. I think the main difference is sometimes when you're doing a lot of solo work, I think it's a little bit of a different. There's different ways you can release the tension. I think a lot of times for me, it's I hold tension in the body, and then that leads to unwanted results. And I think identifying how I'm holding the tension and trying to let it go and keeping on breathing, those simple things help. But sometimes when you're in the inner voice and you're trying to create this nice, beautiful pillow of sound and not disturb anybody, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I think it's just that, yeah, it's been a learning experience how to mitigate. But I think it's part of life, is just learning how to. I think Harumi's thing is acceptance. Yeah, I mean, and to not beat yourself up. I think that becomes a really bad internal process when you're in the moment, when you start to have that conversation with yourself. It can, for me, it exacerbates things. So I think it's
I think for me, I quickly realized I had to practice the physical manifestation of confidence, if you like practice being open, and can, of course, not sort of like putting some cheesy fake smile on my face, but it doesn't come naturally. And I think there is an element that if in rehearsal you're practicing a sense of openness or freedom or absorption in the music, then on stage, when you feel more nervous, you kind of have more places to go. You've practiced that feeling of confidence. And but yeah, I think for me, actually, the time I would be the most nervous is if I didn't have any nerves, weirdly. Like I've sort of come to basically trust the nerves as something that can be channeled in a good way most of the time.
I think also the fact that I'm sort of a nervous person um, affects the way I practice. So like, for example, something that I'm very fearful of is if I only have one way I can do something, if I know that I can only do this one way and it's going to work out, and then I'm scared because, you know, it's good to have a plan B or a plan C. Everybody knows that, right? So I think it affects the way I practice. Like if there's only one fingering, or if there's only one bowing, or if there's only one tempo, or one perfect, you know, like the room has to be a specific temperature and then I can play the violin, you know. It's like, so I try to practice my part in ways that are more adaptable. And so again, I guess what I'm trying to say is the way I think I handle my nerves or anxiety or whatever you want to call it is to sort of embed it in my whole lifestyle, my whole way of being, including the way I've practiced every note of everything I play on stage. You know, because I think I've learned that you can't control these things. The only thing you can do is give yourself as many options as possible, and then you've got something to play with, literally. So
I'm nervous before a concert to this day, but as Richard referred to it, I'm trying to make clear what exactly is wrong. So usually my posture tightens, and actually it's fun to know about it and then hug the cello more. I mean, in my case, hug the cello more and try to assume a healthier breathing, and trying to wait when the ideal posture is coming in, when it arrives like it should. Harumi was talking very poetically about being nervous at rehearsal. I hate to admit, I don't know that feeling. I just feel like an old dog who tries to behave and tries to deliver. But it was very sweet to hear from Harumi that this happens. Yeah.